A single message is about to land in your life, Gemini, and it is going to rearrange everything you thought was settled, but in the most unexpectedly beautiful way. Right now, you are standing at a crossroads you did not plan for, feeling that familiar restlessness in your chest, that buzzing beneath the surface that tells you something is shifting, but you cannot quite name what it is. You have been thinking too much. You have been talking yourself in and out of the same decisions for weeks. You have been waking up at night with a mind that refuses to quiet down, cycling through possibilities, replaying conversations, running through scenarios that may never happen. And underneath all of that mental noise, there is a deeper knowing trying to reach you. Something real is demanding your attention, not the surface-level distractions that fill your days, but something with the power to change the direction of your entire life. This message contains 10 pieces of guidance directly aligned with the energy surrounding your sign right now. Some will feel like a relief. Others might challenge the very patterns that have kept you feeling safe. Stay with me until the very end because the last piece ties everything together in a way you will not see coming. The plan is changing, Gemini. And by the time we are done here, you are going to understand exactly why that is the best thing that could happen to you right now. Tip 1. The message you have been avoiding is the one that matters most. There is something sitting in your life right now, Gemini, that you have been deliberately looking away from. It might be a literal message, a text you have not opened, an email you keep scrolling past, a conversation someone has been trying to have with you that you keep deflecting with humor or a change of subject. Or it might be a figurative message, an inner knowing, a gut feeling, a recurring thought that keeps nudging you at the most inconvenient moments. Either way, you know exactly what I am talking about. You felt it the moment I said it. This avoidance is deeply characteristic of how Gemini handles things that feel too heavy, too permanent, too final. Your sign thrives in movement, in possibility, in keeping doors open and options alive. And this message, whatever form it takes, feels like it might close a door. It feels like it might demand a commitment, a confrontation, a definitive answer that you are not ready to give. So you dance around it. You distract yourself with other things, other people, other projects. You stay busy enough that you can justify not dealing with it. You tell yourself you will get to it later when the timing is better, when you have more clarity, when you feel more prepared. But later keeps becoming never. And the message keeps getting louder. Here is what you need to understand, Gemini. The thing you are avoiding is not going to destroy you. It is not the catastrophe your mind has inflated it into during all those sleepless nights. In fact, in most cases, the anticipation of facing something difficult is far worse than actually facing it. You have built this thing up into a monster in the dark, and when you finally turn on the light, you are going to find that it is much smaller than you imagined. But even if it is difficult, even if the message contains something you do not want to hear, you need to hear it. Because this is one of those pivotal moments where the trajectory of your life depends on your willingness to engage with reality, rather than retreat into the comfortable world of maybe and someday. The longer you avoid this message, the more power it gains over you. It takes up mental space that could be used for creativity, for joy, for forward movement. It becomes a weight you carry everywhere without acknowledging, a shadow that follows you into every room. And the irony is that by trying to protect yourself from potential pain, you are creating a guaranteed form of suffering, the suffering of living in limbo, of never quite being present because part of your mind is always circling back to the thing you will not face. Open the message. Have the conversation. Sit with the feeling. Whatever it is trying to move you forward, not hold you back. The discomfort is temporary. The growth on the other side of it is permanent. And once you face it, once you let it in and deal with whatever it brings, you are going to feel a rush of relief so powerful that you will wonder why you waited so long. The door this message opens might be different from the one you expected. It might not close anything at all. It might, in fact, crack open a possibility you never even considered. But you will never know unless you stop running and start reading. And the next piece of guidance is going to reveal exactly why your mind has been working so hard to keep you away from this moment. Tip 2. Your mind is not your ally right now. Gemini, your mind is one of the most brilliant tools in the entire zodiac. The speed at which you process information, the connections you make between seemingly unrelated ideas, the way you can hold multiple perspectives simultaneously, these are gifts that most people will never possess. But right now, your mind is not working for you. It is working against you. And you need to recognize that before it leads you any further off course. What is happening is subtle, which is why it has been so hard to catch. Your mind is not feeding you lies exactly. It is feeding you half-truths, which are far more dangerous. It is taking real concerns and amplifying them. It is taking minor setbacks and projecting them into catastrophic futures. It is taking one negative interaction and using it as evidence that everything is falling apart. This is what an overactive Gemini mind does when it is not grounded. It spins. It creates elaborate narratives that feel completely logical on the surface, but are actually built on a foundation of fear rather than fact. You can argue yourself into or out of anything right now, and that should concern you, because a mind that can justify anything is a mind that cannot be trusted to guide you toward truth. Consider how many times in the past few weeks you have changed your mind about something important. Not because new information arrived, but because your mood shifted, your energy changed, or you talked to someone who presented a perspective that momentarily overshadowed your own. You have been like a leaf in the wind, blown in whatever direction the strongest gust comes from. And while Gemini is naturally adaptable, this is not adaptation. This is instability. The solution is not to stop thinking. That would be like asking a fish to stop swimming. But you do need to change what you are using your mind for. Right now, you are using it to predict the future, to control outcomes, to prepare for worst-case scenarios that have a tiny chance of actually occurring. Instead, you need to use it to observe the present. What is actually happening right now, not what might happen, not what could go wrong, but what is real and tangible in this very moment. When you ground your thinking in the present, something shifts. The anxiety drops. The spinning stops. The clarity returns. Because most of your fear is not about what is happening. It is about what you have imagined might happen. And your imagination, as powerful as it is not a reliable predictor of reality. It is a storyteller, and right now it is telling you horror stories when the actual script is far more hopeful than you realize. Start noticing when your thoughts are dragging you into the future or pulling you back to the past. Gently, firmly bring them back to now. What do you see? What do you feel? What do you actually know as opposed to what you suspect or fear? That distinction between knowing and fearing is the key to reclaiming your peace. Your mind will settle. Your clarity will return. But only if you stop treating every thought as truth and start recognizing that some of them are just noise. And the noise has been louder than usual lately, which brings us to what comes next. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Tip 3. The conversation you keep replaying has already given you the answer. There is a conversation that has been living in your head rent-free, Gemini. You have replayed it dozens of times, maybe hundreds. You have analyzed every word that was said, every pause, every shift in tone. You have imagined what you should have said, what you wish you had said, what you would say if you had the chance to do it all over again. This conversation might have happened recently, or it might have happened months ago, but it occupies the same amount of mental real estate either way, looping endlessly, each replay revealing some new angle, some new interpretation, some new reason to either feel hopeful or devastated. Here is the truth that your endless replay is trying to obscure. The conversation already told you everything you need to know. The answer was there the first time. You heard it. You felt it in your body, in that sinking feeling or that flutter of recognition. But the answer was not the one you wanted, so your mind went to work trying to find a different interpretation, a hidden meaning, a loophole that would allow you to arrive at the conclusion you preferred. Gemini does this more than any other sign because your dual nature allows you to genuinely see both sides of everything. And while that is a gift in many contexts, in this situation it has become a trap. You can see the side that supports what you want to believe, and you can see the side that reflects what is actually true, and you keep toggling between them, never settling on either one because settling means accepting something your heart is not ready for. But you are ready. You might not feel ready, but you are. The strength to handle this truth has been building inside you for longer than you realize. Every difficult thing you have ever faced, every loss, every disappointment, every time someone let you down, all of it was training you for moments exactly like this one. Moments where the truth is uncomfortable but necessary. Moments where acceptance is the only path forward. Stop replaying the conversation. You already know what it means. You knew the first time you walked away from it, before your mind started its campaign of alternative interpretations. That first instinct, that initial gut reaction, that was your truth. Everything after that has been noise. And the longer you let the noise drown out the signal, the longer you delay the healing and the forward movement that are waiting for you on the other side of acceptance. This does not mean the situation is hopeless. Acceptance is not the same as defeat. Sometimes accepting reality as it is gives you the clarity to respond to it effectively, rather than reacting to the distorted version your mind has created. When you stop fighting what is and start working with it, your options actually expand rather than contract. The path forward requires you to put this conversation down. Set it on a shelf. Let it rest. Not because it did not matter, but because you have extracted everything it had to offer, and continuing to squeeze it will only produce bitterness. And what comes next in this message is going to show you where to direct all that mental energy instead. Tip 4. Someone close to you is carrying something they have not shared. Gemini, you are so attuned to words that you sometimes miss what is being communicated in silence. And right now, someone close to you is drowning in silence. They are carrying a burden they have not spoken about, a fear they have not named, a struggle they have been hiding behind smiles and small talk. And you, with all your perceptiveness, with all your ability to read between the lines, have been too caught up in your own mental whirlwind to notice. This is not an accusation. It is a wake-up call, because the energy surrounding your sign right now is highlighting the gap between connection and communication, and you need to understand the difference. You communicate constantly. You text, you call, you chat, you share stories and ideas and observations with the people around you, but communication is not always connection. You can talk to someone every single day and still miss the fact that they are falling apart inside. You can be in the same room as someone you love and be 1,000 miles away because your mind is somewhere else entirely. The person I am referring to has been dropping hints. Small ones, the kind that are easy to overlook if you are not paying attention. They have been quieter than usual. They have been asking you certain questions that were really about themselves. They have been present physically but absent in a way that should have registered as unusual. And you missed it. Not because you do not care, but because Gemini's attention is often fractured, pulled in so many directions simultaneously that the deeper signals get lost in the noise. Here is why this matters to you right now. Beyond the obvious fact that someone you care about needs your support, this situation is a mirror. The way they are hiding their pain behind a composed exterior is exactly what you do. The way they are waiting for someone to notice without having to ask for help is exactly what you do. The way they are convinced that burdening others with their problems is unfair or inappropriate is exactly what you do. When you reach out to this person, when you set aside your own mental chatter long enough to really see them and really listen, not to respond but to understand, you are going to discover something about yourself in the process. You are going to see your own patterns reflected back at you through their struggle. And that reflection is going to crack something open inside you, something that has been sealed shut for a long time. Do not wait for them to come to you. They will not. They are too proud, too afraid, too conditioned to handle things alone, just like you. Be the one who reaches across the distance. Be the one who says the words they cannot say to themselves. Be the one who proves that asking for help is not weakness and that being seen is not danger. This act of reaching out will heal something in both of you. And the ripple effect of that healing is going to touch areas of your life that seem completely unrelated. Because everything is connected, Gemini. Everything. And the next section is going to show you exactly how deeply that connection runs. Tip 5. You have been saying yes when your whole body screams no. There is a pattern in your life that has been draining you more steadily than almost anything else, Gemini. And it is so woven into your daily existence that you barely notice it anymore. You say yes when you mean no. You agree to things that exhaust you. You commit to plans that bore you. You take on responsibilities that belong to other people, not because you want to, but because saying no feels like too much of a confrontation, too much of a disruption, too much of a risk to the image you have carefully constructed of being easygoing, flexible, and agreeable. Gemini is often described as the social chameleon of the zodiac, the one who can blend into any group, match any energy, become whatever the situation requires. And while that adaptability is a genuine strength, it has a shadow side that you rarely acknowledge. The shadow side is that you lose yourself in the performance. You become so skilled at reading what others want from you and delivering it that you forget what you actually want for yourself. You have spent so long being everything to everyone that the question of who you really are, what you genuinely need, what you would choose if no one else's opinion mattered, has become genuinely difficult to answer. This shows up in exhaustion that has no obvious source. You look at your life from the outside and think it should be fine. Nothing is dramatically wrong. No crisis is unfolding. But you are tired in a way that sleep does not fix because the tiredness is not physical. It is the bone-deep fatigue of performing, of suppressing, of continuously betraying your own boundaries in the name of keeping the peace. Every time you say yes when your body says no, a small piece of your vitality is handed away. And those pieces add up. Over weeks and months and years, they create a deficit that manifests as resentment, as irritability, as a vague but persistent feeling that your life is not quite your own. Here is what needs to happen, and it is going to feel uncomfortable at first. You need to start disappointing people, not cruelly, not carelessly, but deliberately and unapologetically. You need to let some invitations go unanswered. You need to say no to the favor that you do not have the energy for. You need to cancel the plans that fill you with dread rather than joy. And you need to do all of this without offering elaborate explanations or apologies, because the moment you start justifying your boundaries, you are giving others permission to negotiate them. A simple no is a complete sentence. It does not require a reason, a backstory, or an alternative offer. It just requires the courage to let someone else sit with their own disappointment without rushing in to fix it. The people who truly belong in your life will not only survive your boundaries, they will respect you more for having them. And the ones who cannot handle hearing no from you, the ones who pull away or punish you with silence when you do not comply, those people were never relating to the real you in the first place. They were relating to the performance. And the performance is ending. It has to end, Gemini, because it is costing you your health, your peace, and your authenticity. And what is waiting on the other side of that ending is something far more valuable than approval. It is freedom. The kind of freedom that comes from knowing that the people around you are there because they chose the real you, not the version you thought they needed. And the next piece of this message is about to reveal the one area where this people-pleasing has done the most damage. Tip 6. Your restlessness is not random. It is a compass. Gemini, that restless energy you have been feeling, the one that makes you want to change everything all at once, the one that keeps you scrolling at midnight looking for something you cannot name, the one that makes perfectly fine situations feel suffocating. That is not a problem. That is a compass. Most people experience restlessness as discomfort, and their immediate instinct is to eliminate it. They distract themselves. They numb it with food, entertainment, busyness, substances, anything to make the itching stop. And you have been doing some of that too, trying to quiet the buzzing beneath your skin with one more plan, one more idea, one more conversation that goes nowhere but at least fills the silence. But what if the restlessness is not something to be cured? What if it is something to be followed? Your sign is governed by curiosity and movement. When a Gemini feels settled, something is usually wrong. The feeling of wanting more, needing change, craving something different, that is your natural state when you are being honest with yourself. The problem is not the restlessness. The problem is that you have been interpreting it as evidence that something is wrong with you, rather than recognizing it as evidence that you are ready for more. Think about the last time you felt genuinely excited about something. Not the polite enthusiasm you perform for other people's sake, but the deep, electric, full-body excitement that makes you lose track of time and forget to eat. When was that? If you cannot remember, it means you have been so busy managing your life that you forgot to actually live it. The restlessness is your soul's way of saying that the current configuration of your existence is too small for who you are becoming. It is not an indictment of your past choices. Those choices were right for who you were then, but you are not that person anymore. You have grown in ways you have not fully acknowledged, and the container that held the old you cannot hold the new you. Something has to expand or something has to break. Here is what I want you to do with this information, and I am going to be very specific. Stop trying to figure out what the restlessness is about. Stop analyzing it, labeling it, trying to trace it back to its source. Instead, follow it. Let it guide you. When you feel drawn to something, even if it does not make logical sense, even if it does not fit the plan, even if it seems frivolous or impractical, move toward it. That pull is not random. It is navigation. Your logical mind wants a map with clear directions and a guaranteed destination. But this season of your life is not about maps. It is about intuition. It is about trusting the part of you that knows things your conscious mind cannot yet comprehend. The restlessness is pointing you somewhere, and the destination is better than anything you could have planned. But you have to be willing to move without knowing exactly where you are going. For a sign that lives in its head as much as Gemini does, that is the hardest thing in the world. And it is also the most necessary. What follows next is going to explain why the direction you have been heading in needs one very specific adjustment. Tip 7. The financial shift you feel is real. Do not ignore it. There is something changing in the financial landscape of your life right now, Gemini, and you have been sensing it for a while, even if you have not been able to articulate it clearly. It might be a growing awareness that the way you have been earning is no longer sustainable. It might be a sudden opportunity that appeared from an unexpected direction. It might be a nagging feeling that you are worth more than what you are currently receiving. A feeling that used to be easy to suppress but has become impossible to ignore. Whatever form it takes, this shift is real, and it deserves your full attention. Gemini has a complicated relationship with money. Your sign is excellent at generating ideas, spotting opportunities, and seeing potential where others see nothing. But you are not always great at following through on those insights in a sustained, disciplined way. You get excited about a possibility, invest initial energy into it, and then get distracted by the next shiny thing before the first one has a chance to mature. This pattern has cost you more than you realize, not just financially but in terms of self-trust. Every time you abandon a project or an idea halfway through, a small part of you registers that as evidence that you cannot be relied upon to finish what you start. And that belief, running quietly beneath the surface, has been sabotaging your financial growth for years. The shift that is happening right now is offering you a chance to break that cycle. A specific opportunity or direction is emerging that aligns with your actual skills and passions, not just with the latest trend or the easiest path. But this time, the universe is asking you to commit to it. Not forever, not blindly, but with a consistency and dedication that goes beyond your usual initial burst of enthusiasm. This means showing up for the work even when the excitement fades. This means continuing to build even when the results are not immediately visible. This means trusting the process during the boring middle part, the phase where most Geminis bail out because the novelty has worn off and the grind has set in. That boring middle part is where the real wealth is built. Not at the beginning when everything feels electric and possible, and not at the end when the rewards finally arrive. In the middle, in the unglamorous, repetitive, daily discipline of showing up and doing the work, you have the talent, Gemini. No one questions that. What has been missing is the staying power. And this season is giving you the chance to develop it, not through willpower alone, but through genuine alignment with something that matters enough to you to endure the discomfort of persistence. The financial shift is not going to happen overnight. It is not a lottery win or a sudden windfall. It is a gradual reorientation of your energy towards something that can actually sustain you long-term. And the first step is to stop scattering your focus across a dozen different possibilities and choose one. Just one. The one that lights you up the most. The one you would do even if nobody was watching. The one that feels less like work and more like expression. Give that one your full attention and watch what happens over the coming weeks. The results will surprise you, but only if you stay. Only if you resist the temptation to pivot the moment things get challenging. Only if you trust that this time, finishing is more valuable than starting. And the next section connects directly to the one habit that has been keeping you financially stuck. Tip 8. The relationship you are questioning is teaching you what you deserve. There is a relationship in your life right now, Gemini, that has become a source of constant internal debate. You go back and forth about it endlessly, one day feeling certain it needs to end, the next day convincing yourself that you are overreacting, that things are not that bad, that every relationship has its problems. This back and forth is exhausting, and it is consuming far more of your energy than you realize. The relationship might be romantic, it might be a friendship, it might be a family dynamic. The specific category does not matter as much as the pattern it has created in your emotional life. Here is the pattern. You give, they receive. You adjust, they remain unchanged. You communicate your needs clearly, articulately, with all the verbal precision Gemini is capable of, and they hear you, acknowledge you, maybe even apologize, and then nothing changes. The same behavior shows up again, wearing a slightly different outfit but essentially the same. And each time it happens, you feel a little more foolish for having hoped this time would be different. What makes this especially painful for Gemini is that you can see the potential. You can see the person they could be, the relationship it could become, if only they would put in the effort. And because Gemini lives so comfortably in the world of possibility, you keep relating to the potential version rather than the actual version. You keep loving who they could be while being drained by who they are. This is not their fault alone. It takes two people to maintain a pattern, and your role in this one is your refusal to accept the reality of what is being shown to you. When someone shows you who they are repeatedly, that is not a rough patch. That is their character. And you do not fall in love with potential. You build a life with reality. The questioning you have been doing is not indecisiveness. It is your inner wisdom trying to get your attention. The fact that you keep asking yourself whether this relationship is right for you is itself the answer. People who are in the right relationship do not spend their days debating whether they should stay. They might have challenges, disagreements, moments of friction, but the fundamental question of whether this is where they belong does not come up over and over again. That recurring question is your soul speaking. It is telling you that the gap between what you need and what you are receiving is too wide to be bridged by hope alone. And it is telling you something else too, something more important. It is telling you what you deserve. Every moment of feeling undervalued in this relationship has been teaching you about your own worth. Every time you swallowed your frustration and pretended everything was fine, you were learning what you refused to accept going forward. Every time you gave your best and received indifference in return, you were building a clearer picture of the kind of reciprocity you will demand in the future. The pain was not pointless. It was education, and the lesson is almost complete. The only remaining question is whether you will graduate or repeat the class. You know what you need to do. You have known for a while. The debate in your mind is not about whether to act. It is about finding the courage to act on what you already know. That courage is closer than you think. And what comes after this is going to show you exactly where to find it. Some people watch, others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting, it's about moving. Tip 9. Your words have more power than you are using right now. Gemini, you are ruled by communication. Words are your domain, your weapon, your art form, your primary tool for navigating the world. You can talk your way into and out of almost anything. You can charm, persuade, inform, entertain, and disarm with language in ways that leave people genuinely amazed. But right now, you are wasting that power. You are spending it on small talk, on gossip, on surface-level exchanges that fill the air but change nothing. You are talking a lot but saying very little. And the gap between what you are capable of communicating and what you are actually expressing has become a source of deep, unspoken frustration. There are things you need to say right now that you have been holding back. Not trivial things, essential things. The kind of words that, once spoken, cannot be unspoken. And that is precisely why they terrify you. Because Gemini understands the power of words better than anyone. And you know that certain sentences, once released, will change the landscape of your life permanently. There is a declaration of truth you need to make, whether that is telling someone how you really feel, setting a boundary that you have been avoiding, admitting something to yourself that you have been denying, or simply saying out loud the thing you have been whispering in the privacy of your own mind. That declaration is sitting in your throat like a stone, and every day that it stays there, it grows heavier. You have been using your verbal gifts to deflect rather than to connect. You fill conversations with wit and observations and entertaining anecdotes, and people walk away feeling like they just had a wonderful interaction with you. But did they actually learn anything real about you? Did you let them see behind the performance? Did you say the thing that matters? Or did you say 10 clever things instead to avoid saying the one honest one? This is not a small issue, Gemini. This is the core challenge of your sign. The ability to communicate everything except what is truly important. The skill to talk for hours without ever being vulnerable. The talent for making others feel heard, while never allowing yourself to be heard in return. Your words have the power to heal relationships that are fracturing. They have the power to open doors that have been sealed by misunderstanding. They have the power to free you from situations that are suffocating you, but only if you use them honestly. Only if you stop treating language as a shield and start using it as a bridge. Here is what I want you to consider. What is the one thing you have been wanting to say that you keep swallowing? Who is the person who needs to hear your truth? What words, if spoken, would change everything? Do not analyze this. Do not overthink it. You already know the answer. It came to mind immediately, before your analytical self could intervene and start building arguments against it. That instant knowing is your truth. The analysis that follows is just fear wearing a logical disguise. Speak the words. Not perfectly, not with rehearsed precision, not with the polished delivery you are famous for. Speak them raw. Speak them honest. Speak them trembling if you have to, because the power is not in the eloquence. The power is in the truth. And right now, your truth is the most powerful tool you have. Use it. And what follows in the next section is the final layer, the one that connects everything you have heard today into a single, undeniable realization. Tip 10. The plan was never yours to control. Here is the truth that ties everything together, Gemini. The plan you had, the timeline you set, the way you thought your life was supposed to unfold, it was never yours to control. You have been operating under the assumption that if you think hard enough, talk fast enough, adapt quickly enough, you can outmaneuver the uncertainty and land exactly where you want to be. And that assumption has served you well in many situations. Your mental agility has gotten you out of tight spots, seized opportunities others missed, and created a life that looks impressive from every angle. But there are forces at work right now that are bigger than your intellect. There is a current moving through your life that does not care about your timeline, your preferences, or your carefully constructed plans. It is not malicious. It is not punishing you. It is redirecting you. And the more you fight that redirection, the more turbulent the water becomes. Think about what has happened in recent weeks. Plans that fell through, timelines that shifted, doors that closed despite your best efforts to keep them open. These were not failures. They were corrections. The universe was not blocking you from your destination. It was steering you away from the wrong one and toward the right one. But you could not see that because you were too busy trying to swim upstream, too convinced that your original direction was the only acceptable path. Gemini, your greatest strength and your greatest weakness are the same thing. Your mind. It is brilliant at creating plans but terrible at accepting when those plans need to be abandoned. It is extraordinary at generating options but paralyzed when the best option is to stop generating and start surrendering. Surrender is not a word that sits well with your sign. It sounds like defeat, like giving up, like admitting that you could not figure it out. But surrender, in this context, is the most powerful thing you can do. It is the acknowledgement that you have done your part, that you have shown up, that you have given everything you have, and that now it is time to let something greater take over. The message that is coming, the one referenced in the title of this video, is part of that greater plan. It is going to arrive in a way you did not predict, from a direction you were not watching, carrying information that changes the game entirely. And it is going to change the plan in a way that, looking back, you will recognize as the best thing that could have happened. But you cannot receive it if your hands are full. You cannot hear it if your mind is drowning in its own noise. You cannot see it if your eyes are fixed on the horizon you picked out months ago, a horizon that was never meant to be yours. Let go of the plan. Not the vision, not the dream, not the deep desires that make you who you are. Let go of the specific way you think those things need to manifest. Let go of the timeline. Let go of the method. Let go of the rigid expectations that have been creating resistance between you and the flow of your life. Because the new plan, the one that is forming right now in the spaces you have not yet made room for, is better than anything you could have designed. It takes into account things you do not know yet, connections you have not made yet, strengths you have not discovered yet. It is designed for the person you are becoming, not the person you were when you made the old plan. The message is coming, the change is coming, and when it arrives, you are going to feel something that Gemini rarely allows itself to feel. Peace. Not the anxious peace of having everything figured out, but the deep, settled peace of knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, even if you do not understand why yet. Trust the redirection. Welcome the disruption. The plan is changing, Gemini, and it is changing in your favor. Everything you have heard in this message has been building toward one simple realization, Gemini. You do not have to figure this out alone. You do not have to have all the answers before you take the next step. This season of your life is not asking you to be smarter or more adaptable than you already are. It is asking you to be honest. Honest with the people you love about what you need. Honest with yourself about what you feel. Honest about the patterns keeping you stuck and the words you have been swallowing that need to be spoken. The message that is about to change your plan. It is not something to fear. It is something to welcome. Every tip in this message has been preparing you for this moment, facing what you have been avoiding, quieting the mental noise, following the restlessness, speaking your truth, releasing control. All of it has been clearing the path so that when the plan shifts, you are ready to move with it instead of against it. You are not the same person you were at the beginning of this year. Something has shifted inside you, a willingness, a quiet readiness to let go of the old and step into the new. That shift is everything. The people around you are going to notice the change before you do. They are going to see a steadiness in your eyes that was not there before. And the answer to what changed is simpler than they expect. You stopped running. You stopped performing, and you started trusting that the life you are meant for is already making its way toward you, one message, one moment, one surrender at a time. The energy around you right now is extraordinary, Gemini. It is fertile and ready to bloom, but it needs you to stop gripping and start opening. You are ready, and the proof will come in the quiet, steady unfolding of a life that finally feels like yours. You have two options after this video. Close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.